Joe Ryan shoves against the Yankees as Bronx partisans salivate with cruddy trade offers, and Twins fans respond with a big "Fun you!" We also monitor the Target Field homecoming for Pohlads, Po Boys. But first, we got to get Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team every day. Don't forget, hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer who's never said the F word where Cody Bellinger or Parabolic Mike's Broadcasting Live could hear. I'm also a BBWA member and a Hall of Fame voter. Across the Great Plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warne, who swears at you very little, but he will swear with you. You can find Brandon's work at the Access Twins newsletter, and you can find mine somewhere at Zone Coverage. On this podcast, after salivating, there's that too. After salvaging a game in the Bronx behind the sweary Joe Ryan, the Twins are back at Target Field for the first time since Joe Pohlad announced that they're not selling the team. Has it been a pleasant welcome home? We have some more details emerging about the Pohlads pivoting from a total sale to a partial sell-off of shares. Reactions from people such as Byron Buxton and manager Rocco Baldelli. Yeah, that's his name.
Royce Lewis, too.
Royce Lewis, right. He's happy for everybody.
Yeah.
But first, this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances. By golly, with Monarch Money, use the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com or 50% off your first year. It's an entire year. It's 365 days. Brandon, Joe Ryan, who was not traded, but I get the feeling that maybe he almost was at the deadline. After allowing a walk to Cody Bellinger in the sixth inning yesterday, he let loose with a highly audible F-bomb. He didn't just miss the zone. He actually missed by a lot. Bellinger looked up as he removed his shin guard for ball four, as if to say, "You're not talking to me, are you?" But that's the sort of charm of Joe Ryan. He's kind of a thoughtful, soft-spoken guy much of the time. And then all of a sudden, the competitor comes out in him, and he lets loose with a very funny F-bomb. It's always funny when players swear like that, when it goes from like quiet to all of a sudden there's a big F out of the field. And it was just kind of it wasn't a terribly close game. It was 4-1. Ryan pitched really well. He was kind of tantalizing the Yankees fans, and the Yankees fans are all, they're going into their BS debates about, I can't wait to take him off the roster for nothing. Or people are like, no, I don't want to give up Jason Dominguez. Are you crazy? So it's just kind of a funny, as Joe Ryan has as he is wanted to do, he just sort of creates a fun kind of background. It was nice to have a win for the Twins. They hadn't beat the Yankees in like 2 years. Didn't we just get rid of the curse against the Yankees? They were making another one is under our noses all along. So it was a nice respite from a couple of disappointing games in the Bronx. It's always fun when the Twins win. I know that's not necessarily the biggest deal right now, but it was fun, and it was fun, like John Lackey would say it. Fun.
There were some pretty fun Yankee fan crash outs, as though taking 2 of 3 from any other team is not still plenty solid. And it really does bother me that they have this feeling like everything belongs to them, or they're entitled to anything they want throughout the rest of the league. And Joe Ryan,
yes, entitled is a good word. That's a very good word. I
don't understand, like, entitled to win a World Series every year, and like I would hate having those expectations on me. But one of the fun moments was that Joe Ryan was nodding along to the song My Sharona too, yes, which Corey Provis noticed, and I quick hit a rewind button and sent to him on Twitter. And so that was kind of fun to have that come up, and a couple different times he's acknowledged me, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I Joe Ryan definitely looking entertaining, definitely pitching well. I mean, he was fabulous in not Target Field, Yankee Stadium, and just delightful to see someone go out and pitch well at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, it was. I remember now going. This is now 2 years ago, but I remember the Twins going into the stadium pretty early in the season, and that was, of course, the talk of that series, as it always is, how that they can't beat them in the playoffs, and there's a curse, and they haven't beaten the Yankees in so long. I don't remember how long it was, but it's like, you think you've kind of knocked a curse out. You think, well, that's the last. It's what's the meme that Greg Masterson does? Right, true. We won't see that, but it won't be the same without them around anymore.
It'll be quite a different place with him gone. That's for true.
Well, if you thought that the Yankees curse was gone, I guess we were mistaken.
Yeah.
Because it took another 2 years for them to win a game against the Yankees, but it's just kind of always fun when they do. It was funny though, the trade offers, and I think people can, you're right about Yankees fans and other fans of big teams like that, who sort of feel like the entire league is their playground. They can do what they wish with it. It's just, you have to take it with a sense of humor, or else it's going to drive you bananas. Yeah. It's like, shut up, stupid Yankees fans. So you don't want to be like that, because it's just baseball. It's just baseball. That's all it is. But I guess on a serious, like, transactional note, to borrow a phrase from the commissioner, Rob Manfred, I was, the things that I read about Joe Ryan not being traded to the Yankees, but being traded somewhere before the deadline, really bothered me, and are going to continue to bother me, because I feel like it's just a precursor to what's going to happen in the offseason, and I don't like it. And I don't know. And I'm not doing that because I'm emotional about it, because I like Joe Ryan, whatever. I think the Twins can, retreat too much, and should be trying to compete again next year for the playoffs. And if you don't have Joe Ryan for that roster, I don't know. I like the young talent, and this is mostly minor leagues I'm speaking of, as much as anybody. Listening to the people who really know that the Twins prospects, they're number 2 farm system now. And that ranking is not the only, is that Baseball America where they're number 2, or was that somewhere? Yeah. So it's like a consensus-ish feeling about their farm system. The future is bright. We got to wear shades. But I also feel like taking Joe Ryan off this roster would be tantamount to more retreat into more recession, austerity, into whenever they feel like they're going to be competitive again. And with the looming work stoppage in 2027, as it's supposed to be, well, if they're not going to be competitive next year, and there's no season in 2027, you see where my brain is here on this. I'm borrowing trouble, a phrase that my mother's family uses, because none of this has happened yet. A lot of people on Twins Twitter do that too. They borrow trouble. Yes. They're like, well, boy, if this happens, I don't know, this hypothetical, but it's got me kind of concerned, because I think Joe Ryan should be part of this team.
Yes, he should. And it would be outright disrespectful and a real button pushing of Byron Buxton, who's said all the right things as far as what he wants to provide for leadership and wants to be here. Don't trade any more legit big leaguers on this team. You don't have enough time in Byron Buxton's career to hit the reset button. And that's not the only reason to make a decision that way, but it should factor into the decision. Byron Buxton does not have enough time left in his career to stand in the midst of a 2 to 3 year rebuild. And that's assuming it goes as well as it can. It wouldn't be bottoming out because of the talent in the farm system. We saw bottoming out 10 years ago, 10 plus years ago. It wouldn't be that. But for the love of all things holy, do not make Byron Buxton be any sort of villain here, because he deserves and has a good enough team around him to continue to build toward next season. So
when we come back from our break, we'll segue a little bit into Byron Buxton talking about the team not being sold by the Pohlads as it relates to all of what you were just saying now. So let's take our break and come back and talk more. Locked On Twins.
Well, if you're trying to be like the Pohlads, managing your money, pinching your pennies, watching your wallet, Monarch Money is the perfect way to do so. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase like a major league ball club, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. And it's more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Also, you will find surprising expenditures in your spending habits. You know, did you spend too much money on a shortstop who maybe isn't hitting like he used to? Oh, wait a second. Nope, that's not quite right. But you may find out that you're spending a lot on, let's say, food delivery. Let's say any number of things. It's good to have the good, cold, hard facts, even if you don't want to stare them in the face. And Monarch Money is there to tell you where you are at and what is up with your budget. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com and you'll get 50% off your first year. Again, monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB, half off your first year.
So Locked On Twins has returned for our second segment. And Brandon was mentioning Byron Buxton and the prospect of continuing to tear down the roster. You know, I mentioned that I felt like maybe Joe Ryan was – maybe the market sort of held him back, but they seemed perfectly willing to trade him.
Yeah.
For what I don't think is an unfair amount, you know.
But Jaron Duran for Joe Ryan makes no sense. None.
Well, that
Zero.
doesn't make any sense, but
none.
The kind of talent, you know, another kind of deal maybe would have made sense and maybe something that could happen in the offseason. But you mentioned Byron Buxton, and you know, we don't want him to be 34 again by the time the Twins are competitive again. Or not 34 again, but we don't want him to be 34 by the time the Twins are competitive again.
Wasn't that the sequel to that Matthew Perry movie, 18 again or 16 again or whatever it is? 34
was that a
again.
Matthew Perry movie? That was a Jennifer Garner movie, wasn't it?
It was Zac Efron and Matthew Perry, and yeah, I don't know if 34 again would sell as many tickets. That's unlikely.
Yeah, I know one of the Get Your Freak on Friday 2 is out, I think, with Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. So that same kind of film.
Yeah.
You know, coincidentally. But so the media got a hold of Buxton and Rocco to ask them what they thought of the Twins not being sold. And Buxton, this is the context that he put it in. Everybody knows I want to be a Twin. It's good to know that the people that signed me are still in charge. To be able to move forward, it's exciting. Going forward, that makes the conversations a little bit easier, knowing that my whole tenure here, I've worked under the Pohlads. Just knowing the family a little bit, that's a special part of being able to have those conversations down the road. So, that, you know, just because Buxton's going to be here apparently doesn't mean like everyone else is going to be here. Mm-hmm. But that's sort of how I took that. That, yeah, Buxton's going to be here, but if they tear down around him, he's going to be basically the only super known quantity for a couple of years. And that's kind of dangerous as far as
I'm open to all different ways to build a village around Byron Buxton, but I'm not open to the general idea that you have to trade everyone making over minimum, because it's just not. I don't understand that as a strategy. There's a lot of things, like I'm the number one proponent of, I will look at every situation, even if I don't feel like it's what I would do, and give it the benefit of the doubt of like, how could this work? I really don't see a path to trading Joe Ryan that doesn't set you back 3 years at minimum.
Do you think, let me pose this question to you. Okay, so they don't trade Joe Ryan. Does that mean you keep Joe Ryan until he's a free agent, basically? And then you go for it, and then you get, I guess, are you satisfied with a return on Joe Ryan in 2 or 3 years that is basically a compensation pick?
Well, who knows what the new CBA will look like too. I mean, that has to be a consideration, right? I mean, there's going to be concessions, and if the qualifying offer goes away because for whatever reason that's part of negotiations, who knows? So with an eye to the future, I think the best thing you can hope for, I mean, if Joe Ryan leaves, you're going to get compensation of some sort. The foundation of free agency and that, I think, depends on it in some sense, even if it's more along the lines of just creating draft picks between rounds as opposed to, teams losing picks like they used to back in the day. I've always thought, hey, just create more picks. That's the way to do it, because there were players
print more money.
Well, exactly. But there were players that got screwed by that system. But with that said, yeah, you could also talk about trading him at the deadline in his final year of control if it comes down to that too. And part of that too is, are we doing the thing we were just decrying, which was worrying about a problem that's in the future and making it a bigger deal than it might be? Are we guilty of that if we're talking about this?
I mean, maybe
a little, maybe
we are, but also I want to fit in something that Joe Pohlad said about who signed off on these trades at the deadline. On the final date, this is quoting, I believe, honestly, I'm not sure. This might have been a press conference, so it could have been The Athletic or
Bobby,
the Star Tribune, or Betsy, or whatever.
Dang
On the final day of the 2024 season, Pohlad defended slashing the team's payroll as a very difficult business decision, which only incited more fan anger. This time, he said it a little differently. He told in an interview, this actually was an interview with Phil Miller of the Star Tribune, the trades had little to do with saving money, Pohlad said, and were not ordered by ownership. Those were primarily baseball decisions, Pohlad said. It certainly sets us up for more financial flexibility, brackets, but they were primarily baseball decisions. Now, I found that answer to be very misleading and disingenuous, because maybe there wasn't like a quid pro quo back and forth between Falvey and Pohlad about we need to make some trades to save some money. Right. But there definitely could have been discussions about what payroll is going to be and what the parameters for future payrolls are going to be.
We don't know how long ago Falvey knew this too, assuming a lot longer than us, but we don't. There are a few things we don't know, and if Falvey knew that they were staying and that he would be staying and that Rocco would be staying, or any number of combinations therein, I think to the level that they scorched the earth, I think they all had assurances you're going to be around for a bit yet. And I think you have to at that point, right?
Yeah, well, they do have contracts that say so. So there's that. And maybe there's additional assurances that they're going to be around.
I mean, a 1 year deal for a manager is nothing. That's a lame duck. You always want an extra year on it. So, I mean, I just think that they all got assurances that, hey, the rest of the year, you are not going to be managing to win every single game. However, you will also not be graded on that.
Right. And sort of in that context, I look at what Pohlad says as actually being another way of saying what he said before, that it wasn't, slashing teams' payroll, a very difficult business decision. It wasn't that exactly, but still it's another way of saying the same thing, that, we're going to be cutting back a little bit. And so keep that in mind, because you're going to be around, Derek. And so maybe if you make some deals here, keep that in mind, that the expenditures aren't going to be what everybody wants for a payroll. And so that's why you have 10 or 11 guys traded. So to say it wasn't a business decision, I don't even know if it's technically true, but I think it is a twisting of the truth to take some heat off yourself. And of course, I mean, they don't need any more fans. There are enough fans coming down to them hard enough already that I can see why he would fib or,
you can make
nudge a little bit.
You can make the point that he's making if the Carlos Correa trade doesn't happen. That takes you out of that, because there is significant money considerations in the future that had to be signed off on by the family. That is 100% financially motivated. It has to be. Right. There's no other way to package that. Everything else you could say was a baseball decision, and maybe it was a 75-25 financial baseball decision with Correa. But don't look me in the eye and say there were no financial motivations, or largely, or I don't remember how you had termed it. It left a slight out clause of these were mostly not, or I don't remember what you said. But it just seems like someone fed the statement 2 years ago through ChatGPT and said, make this a little more PR savvy for me. And that's, what happened.
I mean, in a sense too, as a fan, I would appreciate transparency and honesty and a little forthrightness.
But you can't expect it. You want it, but you can't. I don't think you can expect.
He kind of gave it to us a couple years ago, but he didn't want to repeat what he said about business decision, because
of course
that was not very well received, and
no.
People hate him enough. So
I mean, outside of saying Joe Mauer is coming back as the manager, or that they're giving Joe Ryan the 4-year deal for $100 million, like you and I discussed, there's not much they can say. I mean, they put out a boilerplate, thank you fans, whatever, that was at worst a little bit patronizing, but everybody just crapped all over it. Anything they say is going to be taken how it's going to be taken, and sometimes it's better to just say nothing and be the evil man behind the curtain, as opposed to the one out front, so-called leading the charge.
Well, we're going to say something now, because we're going to take our second commercial break. And then when we return, you guys out there listening, you might not believe this, but we're going to talk more about the Minnesota Twins. I mean, it's a big shock. Locked On Twins has returned for the home stretch. Doo-dah, doo-dah. As we record, Rocco looks like he's getting upset with the umpire. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
3-3 against Tarek Skubal.
Peek behind the glass, but we are, we're doing this during the game, and Rocco is perturbed.
I look at 3-3 with the Tigers with Skubal on the mound in the 6th inning as like a half win.
Yes, but
that's great.
Oh, and now he just hit 100. His velo is down. He's been doing the old Bartolo Colon trick where you're suddenly throwing again 98 in the 8th inning. I'm sure you remember that, because
Verlander used to do that too. Well, and Skubal's a guy who, when he knows he's done, he's like, I think I'm going to throw 103 here.
Just empty the tank.
Yeah, he just threw 100 to Larshad, and he grounded out. So, well. But so this is probably going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the last inning for Scooby-Doo. So 3-3 Twins, but we're not counting victories right now. We are.
It does feel a little like he was tipping pitches early, though, based on how things went. We'll maybe hear more about that as time goes on, and we don't want to wreck the fact that we're talking about more big picture stuff.
Maybe so, but that's fine. As someone who, that's a big fly, maybe nope. Way back. No, it's caught the fence. Javi Baez taking one away again, not from Byron Buxton, but from the Twins in general. Well. The kid Brooks.
It wasn't out, man. It wasn't out, man.
No, he's not here, man, either. James Outman.
Speaking of, though, that might end up being a really unfortunately good trade for the Twins, with Brock Stewart going on the shelf with some shoulder issues.
That's true. As anybody could have predicted, really.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why the Twins got the 4th outfielder on the shuttle from where's LA's AAA team? I can't even remember now. Is it No, it's not Rancho Cucamonga.
Is it Oklahoma City?
OKC, maybe, yeah. I just wanted to say Cucamonga. That's
a Class A town. Rancho Cucamonga's, that's Class A. I'm sorry.
But Emmanuel, Class A town. Well,
don't bet on that. But
it's a real shame to see because, again, if that would have happened here and the Twins had kept him, I can't imagine.
I thought about that too.
In addition to, we're keeping the team, but we're losing Brock Stewart. But, oh, man, what a mess.
Yeah, getting back to the whole trading half the team thing, I wonder if that will – they sort of went overboard a little bit with the bullpen with Jackson, who's been just as hard to figure on the Rays as he was with the Twins.
Coulomb finally gave up a home run.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So, I mean, there's been varying levels of success for these guys.
Maybe by trading the volume of players they did, they won't be so eager to move Ryan at the next, the winter meetings or whenever when that trade.
Well, you get the number 2 system. You don't need more prospects. Again, if you can get good prospects, you do it. If you're forced, your hand is forced. But like, what does the guy they call, what was it, dictionary or whatever, Just Stinkson, whatever, Nixon, I can't remember his name.
Right. Froston Nixon.
Yeah, what do those guys add to your system that you don't already have and further complicate figuring out what you have in these guys? So I just don't know that there is necessarily a path that makes any sense to me at all that includes trading Joe Ryan. And if you trade Joe Ryan, then you trade Pablo Lopez. And if you trade Pablo Lopez, where do you stop? I mean,
how depressed do you want to make the fans?
Yeah, I mean, you've already said we're coming back.
People would die. I mean, somebody that might actually die if they did that. Of a broken
I'm not
heart.
inciting violence, but there might be I always joked if the Twins hadn't signed Joe Mauer to the contract they did because of the timing of it, because it was when Target Field was opening, somebody might have, before Target Field even had a game played, lit that thing on fire because that's how big of a deal it was. I don't think you want to run the risk of what will Twins fans do if Joe Ryan and or Pablo Lopez aren't on this team come next April.
And maybe we are overreacting a little bit because the reports of, we don't have names or exact figures as far as the people who are investing in the team now. But maybe something is happening it's like a de facto buyout or at least something of the Pohlad kids who wanted out of it's clear that Joe wants to stay. It's also pretty clear that some of the other Pohlads want to go. Maybe bringing in these new investors will make it less palatable, whatever the debt situation is or whatever the financial situation is. These poor baby, millionaire types who aren't getting enough money from their baseball team after a $44 million.
Well, I mean, if he keeps 40% and the other 60 is split 30-30, just pulling numbers out of my hat. I said. He still gets a voting interest. And I do think if there is a path to status quo actually working out, it is under Joe Pohlad, who I've had perfectly fine dealings with. And again, they've owned the team as long as I've been alive. So all I know is the misery of Twins not doing anything since I was 4 years old. 5 years old, actually.
Whether it's hubris or whatever when you get a vibe from Joe Pohlad that he wants to be the president to not turn things around, because, I mean, they just did go to the playoffs, but to be a good baseball leader and to make this a winning team and all that stuff. And
it's the best I've felt about a Pohlad in my lifetime. What does that mean? Take it with however many grains of salt you need.
You mean you didn't like it when when Carl voted to I always call it extract, but that's not the word, to contract.
Subtract.
All right, I'll take $200 million or whatever it is, and I'll get out of here. Hush me.
Yeah, I was about 15 at the time, and so I can't imagine. I know what A's fans have gone through. Have some good friends from Twitter and all that, and losing a team at any age, but 15 when you that's your own, that's your whole summer watching those games, and that's how you end your day. That would have been just devastating to my fandom. I'd still be a fan of somebody, but I don't know who.
I don't like some of the things that I've seen on the internet, doxing and whatnot, and some of the other things about.
Don't be that person. That is disgusting.
Or I wish harm on the team or the
pooping
owners.
on the statue at Target Field.
Yeah, we don't. Downtown Minneapolis doesn't need your poop, buddy.
It's got plenty.
But when I see
that's where it comes from. Yes, that's right.
When I see certain people say certain things, not that I know who they are, but it's like when they make reference to the contraction thing, or I'll never forgive the Pohlads for that. I look at, I get it. I understand where the pain and the vitriol.
It's also a quarter century ago. I mean, it.
Yeah, but I mean, if your family voted to contract the twins, and then, that's kind of a really emperor has no clothes moment. Or if they do have clothes, they were remunerated with a lot of money to buy new ones. I can see where you don't want. That's like, well, if you were going to kill my team and you took a payoff, and that's the only reason you didn't, I can see why you don't trust them, even if it's a new generation now.
It's like a Pepsi commercial.
I wasn't thinking of that, but
I was.
So what do I want to say now? Everybody, make sure that you are subscribed to Locked On Twins, because that way you won't miss any of the great Twins content we've got for you. That includes the Twins postcast with Luke Inman live after the final out of every game. That way you get 2 shows for the price of 1. And it's actually all free. Are they going to hear that next? Or when is this show going to be released, Brandon?
Well, afterward. So if you're listening to that, you should find us right afterward. And they give you a little more of the in-game what happened. We give you more of the big picture stuff.
All right, but finally, we want to thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen today, or maybe it's your second. But for your next listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. We're just giving you a podcast to right up your alley here, whatever you want. Twins, MLB, us, and MLB Game Night brings you every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. So, for my friend Brandon Warne, this is Dave Brown wishing you all a very pleasant good evening. Seeing we will Alexei Kasiya tomorrow night.
Yeah. I stole your thunder. Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
I don't like thunder anyway. It's too noisy.